Let's dive in. I'm Jeremy Greenbaum. I'm from the Wix marketing team. Welcome to our live webinar, How to Make the Most Out of CMS Capabilities and Features. We are so excited to introduce you to the world of Wix Studio, the web creation platform built for agencies and freelancers, where you can deliver exceptional, high-quality sites in the most efficient way. The platform was designed with you in mind, covering the many layers and creating and managing multiple projects while maintaining quality. In a few moments, you'll meet our Wix Studio expert, the incredible Laura Moreno-Saraga, who is a UX writer on the CMS team. But there are a few things I need to run through before jumping in, so bear with me. Many of you have already found the chat box feature, which is amazing. It's a great way to interact with each other throughout the webinar. I love the chat that's going on already, and I would love to see more throughout. But if you have any questions throughout the webinar that you want Laura or any of the other Wix Studio experts who are on the call to answer, you'll want to use the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. So just make sure you're typing your questions into the Q&A box, comments into the chat box. Also, if you haven't already, please join our Wix Studio forum. We've got UX people, designers, product managers, all there actively answering questions. Lots of lively creation discussions and sharing going on there. So definitely sign up for that, and we'll paste that URL on the chat. Lastly, this session is being recorded and will be sent to you as soon as we can get it to you. So don't stress if something goes past too fast, or if you want to revisit something, you'll have a recording to watch as many times as you want. And you can watch it double speed, half speed, your choice. So enough talking for me. Let's welcome our Wix Studio expert, Laura.
Thank you, Jeremy. Hi, everybody. My name is Laura, and I'm a UX writer for the CMS team. And today we're going to be learning how to make the most out of CMS capabilities and features. So this is an advanced session, and this is what we're going to cover. So we're going to learn how to add a CMS to pages that have already been designed. We'll also be going over how to collect information from site visitors in the CMS. Both if you just want to collect it or if you want to collect and display that information, we'll go over both of those options. We'll also be going over how to customize layouts for each dynamic item using rich content element and the rich content field. We'll learn how to create smart connections between collections using multi-reference, which then lets us create category pages and just like a lot of automatic smart navigations. We'll also be setting up filters for site visitors and kind of exploring what the difference between a filter for a site visitor and a filter on your site that you set through the data set is. And finally, after that, I'll go over some tricks on how to hand over a project to a client. So for our demo, we are going to be building the site together or finishing the site together because it's going to be half done. So first, I'll show you what the final result looks like. So this is just a Harry Potter site. Right here, one of the features is that we have a character of the month. In this case, it's Harry Potter. And we have these feedbacks that are actually added by site visitors and then displayed automatically here for the right character. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And then if you click to vote right here, you'll see that there's a form here that's set up where you can actually add some feedback or whatever you want for that character, and it's going to display right on the site. So we'll definitely go over that. Then here we have just the normal repeater, but for that repeater, we've set up a bunch of filters for site visitors. So as you can see, you can mix and match them. You can combine them however you want. We'll also be going over that, and of course, the navigation that the CMS lets us create on our site is really powerful. Here you have a page for Harry Potter, but not only that, actually the house is linked. And then when you go to the house, you have all the characters that belong to that house. And then you can keep, clicking on other characters. And that circular navigation is something that we'll learn how to do using the CMS. It really just makes everything's so much easier. So let's begin. So the first thing that we're going to learn how to do is we're going to convert a static page to a dynamic page. So whenever you have a static page here in the side pages panel, you can find this button that says convert to dynamic page. So now the only page that you can convert to a dynamic page is a home page. Other than that, you can convert any page. And what this does is it actually makes it so that you're managing all of your content from the CMS, and that's being used to generate item pages on your site. So it actually means that it's creating unique URLs. So let's go ahead and do that in our unfinished site. So for that reason, we're going to go to our pages panel, and as you can see, this page right here is the characters item page that I want to turn into a dynamic page. So as you can see, it's not dynamic. There are no dynamic data sets at the moment. So let's go ahead and create this just like I showed you before. So we go here and we're going to click on convert to dynamic page. So in this case, you can either choose a new collection and create a brand new collection based on your content here. But in our case, we're going to use an existing collection, because we already have a collection with all the characters. And then we're just going to click next. So now it's converting to a dynamic page. We already got our page switcher, which is great. This is definitely an indication that it's a dynamic page. So let's just give it a second. Great. So there is a little bug. So I'm just going to go ahead and refresh this. We're still working out last details in Wix Studio. But once we refresh the page, we should find our dynamic data set. Okay, great. So here we are. Now, here we still need to connect each element inside of the dynamic page, because what we've done now is we've created the behavior. So these are all items in my collection, but now actually have to connect the elements inside of that page. I have to do that manually, because there's no way that it's not known what you want to connect it to. You might have multiple images in your collection, which multiple image fields. So you want to make sure that you choose the right one. Here, I'm choosing the characters data set, which I know is connected to my character collection. If you don't have one, you can just create one. And just make sure that you connect it to the right field. Now, the better your field names are, the easier this process is, because see, I know I want to connect this to the character name. So I've given that a very explicit title. And same with this. This should be some kind of short character description. Great. Okay. And now it's working. Awesome. This we're going to connect later, because I want to show you this when I'm going over references and when I'm setting up that circular navigation. So for now, we're going to leave it just like this. And what we are going to do is go to the character list page, which has a repeater here, as a repeater. And I just want to make sure that this navigation is also set up, because I want to be able to navigate to each item page from here. So just look for the link and click on character item. And we're just going to test it to make sure that it works. Give it a second to load and click on it. And there we go. Okay, so we are done with that. Now we're done converting to dynamic page. The next thing that we're going to learn how to do is we're going to learn how to create a custom form. So the custom form can be built by going to the add panel, finding the input section, and you just create a form using any input elements that you want. So this is different from the Wix form product. Here, we're actually building a custom form completely from scratch, and then we're actually taking each of those inputs and connecting it to the CMS. Sorry, excuse me. So let's go back to our site in order to do that. The form we had was in our characters list page. and it's right here. So we go back to edit site. Here, I know that this has already been connected. There's a data set called feedback form, but I know I still need to connect this. So this is still not connected. I'm going to connect it to the feedback form data set right here. And the value will be connected to Y. Now, the button, you have to make sure that you connect it to the same data set, feedback form data set. And this is super important, that the click action connects to submit. That way, you know that when a site visitor clicks submit, this information is going into the collection. Now, there's another important action that you need to do here, which is to always go to dataset settings and make sure you check the mode of your dataset. So here, the mode we've chosen is read and write. And what I want to do with this form is I want to be able to let site visitors write down something on the form, submit it, that information goes into my collection, and then I'm going to display that same information in my homepage. So I need it to be read and write. Now, if I was only collecting, let's say, credit card information or other, private sensitive information from site visitors, the dataset mode would only need to be write because I would never have to display that information anywhere. And here in this repeater, we're using a dataset that's read only because we're only showing content on the site. So in order to create that behavior, we have to go home to our homepage. I'm just going to drink some water while it navigates. Okay. So here, I am displaying Harry Potter as the character of the month, but I also want to make sure that these testimonials are actually about Harry Potter, right? So first, I'm going to show you the collection where all of the comments are. They're right here. And I want to make sure that I'm displaying only the ones that correspond to Harry Potter. So I'll show you how to do that. Okay. So here we want to make sure that we're standing on the repeater. You can always use these sections here to navigate. And we also want to connect it to the feedback form data set. And now just connect each part of the repeater. So text connects to, hold on, feedback form data set. Should be Y. Yes. And this should be the title, which is the name in this case. Great. Okay. So I just want to make sure. Okay, great. So we already have a filter set up here. And the filter, I just want to show you how this filter is making sure that it's only displaying information, like it's only displaying the feedback for Harry Potter. So reference is the same as the characters data set. Okay, that's the filter you need to select. We'll get back to that after, but right now I want to test that this is working. So we are going to add a feedback for Harry Potter together. So we click to vote. In this case, the webinar. We're talking about Harry Potter. And I'm just going to write here, I hope you're enjoying the webinar. Okay. So let's go home. And there it is. I hope you're enjoying the webinar. We chose Harry Potter, so we expected to see that here. Great. Okay, next is rich content. So what is rich content? Rich content is actually a section that you can add to an item page, and you can customize specific sections in each dynamic page. So while the overall layout of a dynamic item page is going to be the same, the rich content lets you add like a little bit of flavor to each of those item pages if you want to add something different, while keeping a consistent overall layout. but it lets you do all sorts of things. You can embed HTML code. You could have widgets from Wix stores, from bookings. You can even do social media posts. I'm going to show you how that works. Okay, so here, well, sorry, this is the finished site. Let's go back to the character item pages. Okay. Hold on. Refreshing is always a good idea to get things working again, especially in these early stages of a product release. Okay, let's see what happened here. There it is. Okay, great. So here we're gonna connect. This is okay. So first of all, this is what the rich content field, the rich content element looks like. I'm going to show you where to find it. So if you go to the CMS right here and you go to add content elements, you'll find it right here under elements, rich content. It's the only element that only works with the CMS, and that's why it's the only element that appears here. We're going to connect it. This is also in the characters collection, and rich content can only connect to rich content. So in this case, this is the one that I need. And there it is. So he has his own content. And then if you go to Dumbledore, he's going to show something completely different. This should be, yep, an Instagram. See, he has an Instagram post and a video. But Harry Potter has an empty one. So today we get to add some rich content for Harry Potter together. And in order to add rich content, you have to do it from the collection. So you just go to the characters collection. And look for Harry Potter. Let's open up the item content for Harry Potter. And here, this is the rich content field. I'm just going to expand it. This is what it looks like. Okay. Okay, great. So here you have all sorts of options of what you can do with rich content. You have, text formatting, headings, paragraph, bold, italic, but not only that, quotes, links. But over here, you have like even more special things. So you have Instagram. You can embed Instagram. You can embed services from Wix bookings. Possibilities are endless. Today, we're going to just insert some HTML for Harry Potter. Sorry, that's what we want to add this video. Sorry. Okay, let's add it. There we go. Save. And you can just stretch it to make sure that it fills out the entire area. And that's it. We make sure to save. And now, if we go to Harry Potter, might need to refresh. No, it doesn't look like we're going to need to refresh. There we go. What we added. Let me just, okay. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go back to the home. Okay, great. So we added the rich content. Sorry, I had to navigate away from it because it started playing, but you saw how we just added the video into the collection and it displays right on the rich content. So just, you have a lot of possibilities to do that. So make sure to explore that with the rich content field and the rich content element. The next thing we're going to talk about is references between collections. Now I know this is everybody's favorite and least favorite feature. Today I'm hopefully gonna make you love it a little more because it's honestly such a powerful tool when you know how to use it. So what are references? Today I'm going to be talking specifically about multi-references. Multi-references lets you use logic just to automate how content is displayed on your site. So one of my favorite ways to use it is to create navigation, or what I call circular navigation. And we'll go over what that means. And we do this by creating basically multi-references, aka smart relationships between different collections. And so I think this is what they look like. And basically, every time that you add a multi-reference field and fill it with content, you're going to get the same field in reverse in that content that you're referencing. And this is what allows us to create some really, really cool behavior. So let's go ahead and do it. So the first thing is I'm going to show you what that reference looks like in the collection. Go ahead and open the characters collection. And as you can see, this is what the multi-reference field looks like. Here you choose the field type, but it's very important that you choose the right reference collection. So in this case, I'm choosing houses as the reference collection. So I can see that every character belongs to a different house. And when I go back to the CMS and go to the houses collection, every house has the characters that belong to that house. That was created automatically. Okay. So now for what we can do on the site, we're going to go back to the character item page right here. And we're going to use that logic that we just created to connect this house and also to create the navigation. Okay. So let's go ahead and do it. So here, we have to connect it not to the characters item, and this is really important, but to the houses. Like it has to be a data set that's connected to the houses collection. So we will go ahead and do that. And then we're going to connect the image as well. And the image should be the house. Okay, so there's something wrong here, right? Because first of all, I didn't connect this. Let me connect it. Okay. Alistair Mad-Eye Moody is definitely not in Slytherin. Harry Potter is definitely not in Slytherin. It's because we have to create something else. Let's go to Dumbledore. Sorry. Okay. So in order for it to make this work, in order for it to appear as Gryffindor, this is what we have to do. We have to add a filter. So we go back to dataset settings. It's similar to what I explained to you with the testimonials, but now we're going to do it together. So we're going to go here to add a filter, and we're applying a filter to the entire data set. We're basically telling it how to behave. So we're going to stand on the reference field. So the character's reference field includes the character item. And now it's giving me the right house. And that's all I need to do, is to make sure to add that filter. I think that's a part that many people don't understand how to do. And it's definitely an important part of the process to make it work. And we have to connect the link as well. So we wanted to navigate to that house. So every time that I click on this house, I wanted to navigate to Gryffindor. Okay, let's test it out. Okay, so I'm standing here in Dumbledore's page. I'm going to click on that icon. And I land on the Gryffindor page. Not only that, but this is a repeater that I also connected in a similar way, just the opposite. This is connected, of course, to the character collection. Let's say I want to click on Sirius Black. There we go. See, it navigates to a completely different page. So it's just, there's so many possibilities. Really, the possibilities are endless. Think about beauty salons and real estate agencies and all of the different types of websites that you can create using this feature. It's a really, really one of my favorite features. So I hope you'll use it. Okay, the next thing that we're going to talk about are site visitor filters and dataset filters. So these are not the same. Basically, they're answering two different questions. Like for dataset filters, the question that we're answering is, what do I want to display on my site? Which means, what do I want everybody to see on my site? Site visitor filters help users find what they're looking for. So they're the drop-downs that I showed you earlier. Like they're meant to help site visitors find content easier. And you can combine filters in both cases without needing to use code. So first I'll show you how to set up the site visitor filters. So for that, we're going to go back to the character list page. And here we had two filters, filter by house and filter by book. So this one's already set up. I don't have to do anything, but I know this one, see, it's still not set up. So we go back to edit site and we're going to connect it. So we want to use this drop down to filter content, not to collect content. So that's what we choose. We're filtering content. And we're filtering content in the characters collection, in this repeater specifically. And we're going to filter by book. In this case, I use the tag field. That's one of the ones that works pretty well with these drop-down filters. And I just want to go to settings because the text became too long and I don't need it to be that long. You can edit it and make it whatever you want. That's it. Okay, and that's it. My filter is set up. Let's just go ahead and test it. Okay, so let's select just Gryffindor. And as you can see, it just filters everything in life. And now, so this is determining what I want site visitors to be able to search for on my site. Now, for the other example of a dataset filters, by the way, we've already used dataset filters for the references in previous examples, but now I'm going to show you a different use. So let's say that I want this character to be a different character. I don't want it to be Harry Potter anymore. We're in a new month, and maybe I want it to be Dumbledore. So in this case, the filter that we're using is a filter in the collection. First, I'll show you what it looks like here. And it says featured character, which is a Boolean field. We're going to see in a second. Featured character is true. Okay, so that we don't need to change that. What we need to change is the indication in the characters collection where we're indicating who the featured character is. So as you can see here, we have this Boolean field. And as we said, we don't want it to be Harry Potter anymore. And now we want it to be Dumbledore. So we're going to give him the check mark instead, right here in the collection. And let's see. See, and it changes everything right away. It changes the image, the text, this text, and also the testimonial. So it changes everything automatically. All you had to do is just, a 2-second change. So it's just very, very useful. I'm sure you can find plenty of uses for that. And finally, we've pretty much set up our entire site. So now we're ready. I'm just going to show you some tricks in order so that you can hand your site over to clients in a super easy way. So we're going to go over folders. We're going to review validations, ways of controlling item visibility on the site, scheduling items to go live, scheduling items to be hidden. So let's go ahead and do that. And the point of this is that you can then let your clients, if you want, you can have your clients updating just the collections, and they can do that from the dashboard. And they don't need to interfere with your site. They don't need to be, going into the filter sections. Like, you don't want them messing anything up. I know that's a common request that we get from our partners. So this is the way to do it. So first of all, we have folders. Folders are very straightforward. You can create as many as you like and put whichever collections you want. So whether you want to create a folder for a content contributor, or you want to create a folder so that nobody opens collections in that folder, you can just add whatever you want there. Okay. In the feedback form, something that I'm actually would do for the client if I was actually building the site is I would go to settings and I would toggle on control item visibility. And I want to set the default status for new items as hidden. And the reason I want to do that is because, as you know, the internet is, full of trolls and full of bots. And I want to make sure that my client can review any submission that he or she gets through the form. So not only when I add an item here is it going to be hidden, but it's also going to be when these feedback submissions come in. So it's no longer going to be displayed automatically on the site because the client now has to toggle it and make it visible. Or they can also choose to schedule it so that it becomes visible in 2 days or in 3 days or whatever they want. And once you schedule something, you get this little icon here and it tells you exactly when the item's going to go live. So that's one feature. Another feature, so let's go into the fields and let's go over validation. So you can make a field be required, right? You can make it so that so that anyone who's filling out a form can save it unless they fill out all the required fields. You can also limit the character count. You can say, you can have a min and a max, or just a min or just a max. So in this case, let's say that the title should be between 5 and 20. Name. Okay, great. So let's see. Okay, right? So enter between 5 and 20 characters. It automatically adds that message for me. And once I go over, it just doesn't let me continue because that validation is working. See, enter up to 20 characters. I've already entered 20 characters. It's not letting me do anymore. And if I decide to leave this blank and save it, it's telling me enter text because I said this is a required field. So these are all just great features that you can use. We're going to discard changes here. But these are all great features that you can use for any of your sites. Okay, so that's the end of my portion of the webinar. I'm just gonna review what we covered today because I know it was a lot, and just keep in mind that this is being recorded and you'll be able to view this video later. Okay, so what did we cover? We learned how to convert a static page into a dynamic page that allowed us to use the same design and to just insert different content through the collection that's connected. We went over different data sets and how to use them. So it's just something that I'll mention right now that I maybe didn't mention before, is that a dynamic data set is actually creating a unique URL for every item page that it creates. So it's actually doing that automatically. And that's also the reason why you can't have a dynamic, a homepage be a dynamic page, because you can have that behavior happening in the homepage. But then you also have the regular data sets that you can use to create, to connect any element on any page to the CMS. We also learned how to collect info from site visitors, and we did that using the custom form, not the Wix form. So remember that the custom form is one that we build using input elements. We learned about multi-references and how we can use multi-references to create circular navigation on our site and also category pages. We also learned how to set up 2 types of filters, actually 3 types of filters. We went over 3 types of filters. We have the filters that are at a data set level that control what we're seeing on each page. We have filters that we use in the collection that lets us decide what is visible on the site according to certain conditions. And you can also use site visitor filters, of course, which is the drop downs that we talked about, where you can filter out information based on what the site visitor is looking for. And after we reviewed all of that, we went over how we prepare the CMS for clients. So I really hope you enjoyed this webinar. And now I'm excited for your questions. Back to Jeremy.
Thank you so much, Laura. That was, wow. First of all, love Harry Potter, so great subject choice. Second of all, very cool to see all of the different ways that you can really use CMS to make it great. So yeah, let's get to these questions. I'd like to, This first question, I'd like my client to be able to rearrange items in a repeater without the need to go to the editor. Is it possible?
Okay, so rearrange items in a repeater without needing to go to the editor. Okay, so we don't have a direct feature for that, but there is a workaround. I'm gonna show you what that's like. So, okay, let's for that question, let's just go back to our characters collection. What you can do in this case is you can use a number field. So number fields actually only recognize numbers. I'm gonna call it order. I wanted to be very literal about this, okay? So here, if I use this field to give these characters, a random order, and I say 1, 2, 3, 4, any order that I want, I can then use this field in order to sort something using the data set. So so here I created this order in my collection. And then I can go, and I think I should demonstrate this with the characters because that's where you would do it. So what you're going to do in order to make that happen is if you go to dataset settings, you can add a sort, okay? And then just use the order field, and then you can choose low to high or high to low. And that is one way in which you can kind of like manipulate the system into showing items in a certain order on your site. Is just to assign those numbers however you want, and then choose this order accordingly. Thank you.
Great answer. Next question. Could there be a filter in a collection that determines if a date in a date field is before or after the current date? For example, to create an agenda that only lists future events.
Great question. Yes, the answer is yes. There is a way. So let's go back to that characters page. Or actually for this one, let's go to feedback for the feedback. It makes more sense in the feedback form, right? So let's say that starting from now, I only want to accept feedback that is created from now on. Like from now on. I don't want any of the old stuff. I only want to create what's now on. Actually, there's a system field here called create a date, which is usually hidden, but it's keeping track of when everything is added here, the create a date right here. So what you can do is you can apply a filter on this field. So you said the create a date should be after or equal to, or after today's date, which is 6:40. Or 6:30, or maybe let's do, 5, so that at least some content appears. Okay, and now it's only showing things that were created after September 13, 2023 with the time. So I think that answers the question. Thank you.
Yes, definitely does. When I use CMS with repeaters, sometimes the titles are different lengths, and this throws off the whole repeater. Is there a way to correct this or work around it?
Okay, so there's currently no automatic way to correct this, but what I like to do is when I design my repeater, I try to give it enough wiggle room, right? So that it actually kind of like grows into the space that I've created. So in this case, as you can see, this text is a bit longer than this one, but I've created it so that it accommodates the longest text that I have. So if you design your repeater to accommodate the longest text that you have, it's naturally going to like keep its layout in that way, like basically in that height. But you shouldn't do it at the text level. You should do it at the container level. That's kind of like the thing that you need to work out. But yes, it's possible, and it's not a perfect solution, but we're working on a better solution for that.
No, it's a great hack. Next question. Why did Wix decide to limit the CMS by item quantity? And how can we overcome it without paying for higher subscriptions or devoting work to transferring our data collections to an external database?
Yeah, so okay, we've gotten a lot of comments on this. I know that it's difficult for some of our partners and some of our clients to get around this limitation, but we are looking into it. We're rethinking the models, and we'll definitely be in touch about that, because I know that a lot of people have been upset about this. So just know that the team is well aware of it, and we're working on a solution.
Good to know. Why did Wix decide to limit the CMS by item quantity, and how can we oh, sorry, that was the one I just read. Can I use CMS to create a custom layout for the list of my store products?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, so good question. Thank you. So in addition to your collections, you have an additional tab here called Wix App Collections. Every time you add an app to your site, you're gonna certain apps, but stores is included in these apps, sorry. So every time you add a store to your site, you're gonna get a few collections here. One of them is I think it's called the products collection, yes, it's the products collection. And once you have that collection, you can tie it in much the same way, exactly the same way as you would a collection that you created yourself. So let's say here, if I decided that I wanted to connect my repeater to a different collection, or, to create a data set that was based on a different collection, I would see that collection here, right? So just like I see invoices and marketing, I would also see a stores collection. And all I have to do is select it, create a data set, and then do the same as you do with any other collection. You just start tying all your elements. And we also have an additional feature just for stores where you can add to cart, you can view the product at large. There's kind of additional actions that you can do once you set it up with the product collection. So it's actually a very well integrated product, and it really lets you customize your product list entirely so that it looks exactly however you want it to look, and you don't you don't have to stick to that template that stores has. You can actually design it however you want, which is a really cool feature.
That is very cool. Is it possible to make Wix multilingual with CMS?
Oh, well, not yet, but very, very soon it's going to be possible to makes the CMS multilingual. You're going to be able to localize at a collection level, which we're really, really excited about. So stay tuned and definitely stay tuned for that announcement.
Oh, stay tuned. What makes a page a good candidate for a dynamic page?
A good, I think it's anything, a dynamic page. Basically what you're looking for is that you want a repeatable layout and that you have a lot of content that is similar. So the content should have more or less the same structure, right? So if most of your pages have a name, they should all have, they should also all have the same needs. So I'll give you a few examples that are the most commonly used examples. For example, if you have a beauty salon, you might want to use dynamic pages for all of your services, maybe also for all the practitioners. If you have a real estate agency, you can use dynamic pages for your properties, because if you think about it, each property page, it's going to have a few elements in common. So if you can kind of get all those elements on the page, then you can just automatically manage that content from a collection. And it just makes everything easier. And it also lets you create all these, circular navigation, smart connections using references. So it really speeds up the website creating process.
Yeah, it sounds like it does, for sure. With rich content, can we get the missing elements featured on FAQs implemented?
Can you repeat that question?
Sure. With rich content, can we get the missing elements featured on FAQs implemented?
I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that means either. Okay, let's move on to the next one. And if this was your question, maybe just type it into the Q&A one more time. Make sure that you're
let's rephrase it.
Just if there's a typo or something. Okay. I have a CMS with a library of books. On the site, people can filter, like in the demo now. That is working. On a second tab, I filtered in the data set, the books that people can reserve. On this screen, people can leave their name, email, phone number. This is writing directly in the CMS. When people save this, a send button to the CMS, I want people to receive an email. Is this possible?
I don't think we currently offer that feature. I might have to look into it. It's not something that I've ever heard of us offering, like that a trigger email. I know that when you click on submit, you know what? Let's go look for it together. Do we have some time, Jeremy? I think we have a few.
Yeah, we have a few minutes.
Okay, so let's explore that together. So it's in the form, and it's okay. I know where to look for that. So for the submit button, at the moment, we only have the submit action. Let's see the trigger. When successful, navigate to. Yeah, we currently don't have that feature available unless you use code. Like you do need to use Velo in order to create that behavior, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, it was good to see your genius in process, right? To see you look for it, and maybe we'll get it soon.
Yes, maybe. If enough people request it, then for sure you will.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a really great point. If you have these, if you have suggestions of things that you don't think that we offer yet that you really want us to offer, you can always suggest it, and we really do prioritize your requests. So definitely make use of that. How can I copy a repeater from a dynamic page to the home page?
Okay. Like to copy the design or to copy, I guess you can copy the design, but I don't know that you can copy the entire thing. Like I think you have to connect it each time. And the reason for that is because every web page has its own data sets. So you can like use a data set that you have on one page on a different page. So even if they have the same name, like here it says feedback form data set. And then if we go home, maybe the data set has the same name, but it's not actually the same data set because a data set kind of like stays on its page. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. See, it's called feed form data set, but it's a different data set. It's not the same data set. So in terms of doing that, like you can definitely, copy the repeater and save it in your designs and then add it to the homepage, but you're going to have to set it up again so that it has the same logic.
Okay. In the recent example with testimonials dynamically showing up for Harry Potter on the homepage, if there are more Harry Potter form submissions than spots for testimonials on the homepage, does Wix just display the most recent submissions?
You first of all, you can decide which ones it displays. You can use sort to decide whether it displays the newer ones or the older ones. I showed you how to do that. But you can also tell it to display more than 3. I chose 3, and this is something that, again, you choose through the data set. So here, actually, it is displaying up to 12. It's just that Dumbledore only has 2. And I think Harry Potter only had 3. But it should display up to 12. So that's where I need some water. That's how you decide how many are displayed is going through data set settings and going to maximum items displayed here right away, like right here. That's where you define how many get displayed. So if let's say I was going to change it to 1, then it would only display 1. It doesn't have 12, so it's only displaying 2. But if it had 12, it would display more. And in terms of the order, like the out-of-the-box order is to display the newest ones above. But if you want to change that order, then you have to add your own sort. And you do that using either any of the fields or the number field to give it like that specific, like the specific instruction of which ones you want to display.
That makes sense. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. But if you have any more questions that we haven't answered, feel free to go to the new Wix Studio forum and join the Wix Studio Discord community and ask away there. Our product managers will be more than happy to help you out with any questions you have. And of course, our Wix Academy is always there as a resource for you to get more information. Also, if you have any feedback, please let us know in the feedback form, which I will paste for you now in the chat. Like we said before, there will be a recording for you to refer back to that we'll email to you shortly. Thank you, Laura, so much for your knowledge and expertise. And thank you all.
Thank you for joining. Thank you. It was
Yes.
great to see you.
You've been a great crowd. We hope to see you again in the future at one of our other webinars. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.